हेलो एंड वेलकम एवरीवन टू द डेली न्यूज एनालिसिस ऑफ 12th ऑफ जनवरी 2024। तो आज के इम्पोर्टेंट आर्टिकल वन बाय वन देख लेते हैं पहले। तो पहला जो आर्टिकल है हमारा, डायरेक्ट टैक्स केटी क्रॉसेस 80% ऑफ द 2023-24 टारगेट। देन साउथ अफ्रीका एक्यूजेस इजराइल ऑफ जेनोसाइड इन पैलेस्टाइन, आस्क यूएन कोर्ट टू स्टेप इन। देन once a drive once a 42-kilometer drive Atal Setu to reduce Mumbai-Navi Mumbai commute to 20 minutes. So of fairness, Bangladesh one-party state and India's option. Are antibodies are antibodies overprescribed in India? Then strained ties in India-Maldives relations. Is tableau selection turning into a political battleground? And next one is Maldives China commit to greater strategic cooperation, signs 20 MOUs. तो पहला आर्टिकल जो है, डायरेक्ट टैक्स किटी क्रॉसेस 80% ऑफ 23-24 टारगेट। India's net direct tax collections touched 14.7 lakh crore rupees by January 10, meeting over 4/5 of this year's target and reflecting a growth of 19.4% over the corresponding period of 22-23. The Central Board of Direct Tax on Thursday said provisional direct tax collection continued to register steady growth, with gross collection rising 16.77 to 17.18 lakh crore rupees, led by a 26.11% rise in personal income tax (PIT) inflows. Corporate income tax and or CIT collections grew at a relatively muted pace of 8.32%. After adjustment of refunds, the net growth in CIT collection is 12.37%, and that in PTI collections is 27.26%. PIT only. The board said in a statement, net of refunds, PIT and securities transaction tax received were up 27.22%. The net direct tax collections has grown by 1 lakh crore since December 17, when it had surpassed 13.7 lakh crore rupees. Direct tax collection net of refunds stand at 14.70 lakh crore rupees, which is 19.41% higher than the net collection for the corresponding period of last year. The collection is 80.61% of the total budget. Estimates of direct taxes for financial year 23-24, the CBDT said refunds amount to 2.4 lakh 2.48 lakh crore rupees had been issued to taxpayers by Wednesday, about 23,000 crore rupees more than the refunds that had been sent by December 17. Rating agency ICRA said it expects the full year's direct tax collection to exceed the budget estimates by 1 lakh crore rupees. Direct tax revenues are projected to grow by 12% in 24-25, based on the expectation that beginnings levels of commodity prices would augur favorably in the profitability of corporate. ICRA economists said hence such tax collections and the continued efforts by the government to improve compliances are likely to support personal income tax inflows amid widening of the tax base. Then next article जो है, South Africa accuses Israel to genocide in Palestine and asks United Nations Court to intervene. Then Surat, Indore are the cleanest cities. Maharashtra tops the state lists. South Africa accused Israel of committing genocide against the Palestinians and pleaded with United Nations top court on Thursday to urgently order a halt to the country's military operations. Israel has vehemently denied the allegations. South African lawyers said during the opening arguments that the latest Gaza war is part of a mm, decades-long operations of the Palestinian by Israel, they asked the judges to impose binding preliminary order on Israel, including an immediate halt to Israel's military campaign in Gaza. Genocides are never declared in advance, but this court has the benefit of the past 13 weeks of evidence that shows incontrovertible a pattern of conduct and a related intention that justifies as a plausible claim of genocide, asks a South African lawyer in Adila Hassim told the judges and audience in the packed ornate room of the Peace Palace, Peace Palace in The Hague. Nothing will stop the suffering except an order from this court, she said. South Africa insisted Israel committed genocide by the design. Israel's offensive has killed more than 23,200 Palestinians in Gaza, according to health ministry in the Hamas-run enclave. Israel responds in a sign of how serious Israel is taking the accusation, although it is normally considered United Nations and International Tribunal unfair and biased, it has sent a strong legal team to defend its military operations launched in the aftermath of Hamas attack. While Israel has vehemently denied the allegations and is unlikely to comply with any order from the court to halt operations, it likely fears that any such orders would be a blow to its international standings. The next is Surat Indore, cleanest city Maharashtra topped the state list. Surat in Gujarat and Indore in Madhya Pradesh were on Thursday jointly declared the cleanest cities of India at the annual Clean City Award for 23 of Union Urban Affairs Minister. The next best is Navi Mumbai. The Swachh Sarvekshan Award were given away by President Draupadi Murmu here. Indore has been adjudged the cleanest city for the seventh time in a row. The list of top 10 cleanest cities with a population of more than 1 lakh includes Greater Visakhapatnam, Bhopal, Vijayawada, New Delhi, Tirupati, Greater Hyderabad, and Pune. In the state ranking, Maharashtra came first, followed by Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. Odisha is ranked fourth, followed by Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Punjab, Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Sikkim, Karnataka, Goa, Haryana, and Bihar. In the category of cities with a population of less than 1 lakh, Saswad and Lonavala in Maharashtra and Patan in Chhattisgarh secured the top three sports. The MHO Mahau Cantonment Board in Madhya Pradesh was adjudged the cleanest cantonment board. Varanasi and Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh won the top two awards for the cleanest Ganga town. Chandigarh won the award for the safest city for sanitation worker. 20 zonal awards were given to the medium and small cities Madhyamgram, Kalyani, and Howrah. All cities in West Bengal have the dubious distinction of being placed at the bottom of the list, while the states at the end of the list were Rajasthan, Mizoram, and Arunachal Pradesh. The theme of the cleanliness survey 2023 was waste to wealth, while for 2024 it is reduced, reuse, and recycle only by eliminating manhole through mechanized cleaning and achieving the goal of sanitation through machine holes. We will be able to establish our true identity as a sensitive society. Mrs. Murmu said in her address. She noted that the circular and economy method of the recycling, reusing, and more of goods were proving helpful for sustainable development. She expressed confidence that such a system will prove to be very useful in the field of waste management. Also, Mrs. Murmu also launched the Swachh Suraksham Sarvekshan 2023 dashboard at the function. People's Movement Union Urban Affairs Minister Hardeep Singh Puri said today every city in India is ODF open defecation free. This became possible because the Swachh Bharat mission went from being a government program to becoming a Jan Andolan People's Movement. Mr. Puri said that in 2014 there was only 15 to 16% scientific processing of waste file. Today the number is almost 76%. In the next 2 to 3 years 100% will be achieved by the end of this mission. We would have fully transitioned from manhole to machine hole, he said. The Swachh Sarvekshan, which began with a modest evaluation of 73 major cities in 2016, now covers 4,477 cities. The evaluation this year was done by over 3,000 assessments. Assessors, nearly 12 crore citizens' responses were received. The next article, Ministry notifies revised rule to ensure quality of medicines. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare late last week notified revised rules under Schedule M of the Drugs and Cosmetics Rules 1945. The revision aims to ensure that the pharma sector recommends to the manufacturer of safe, effective, and high-quality drugs in compliance with international quality standards, thus benefiting both patients and industries. This is a responsive to the backlash India has been receiving over reports of substandard medicine exports. Last year, the country felt intense global scrutiny after the World Health Organization issued an alert about the cough syrups being contaminated with diethylene glycol and ethyl glycol. These are considered toxic to humans and can prove fatal. The contamination was allegedly found in samples taken from a batch of cough syrup made by QP Pharma Chem Limited based in Punjab. QP Pharma Chem Limited manufacturing license was suspended after cough syrup linked to child death in Gambia and Uzbekistan. We found to be the contaminated we found to be contaminated. Other cases of alleged contamination have also been reported from cough syrup made in India. The latest revision includes the 5 new categories of drugs, pharmaceutical product containing hazardous substances such as sex hormones, steroids, and anabolic and androgenic cytotoxic substances, biological products, and radiopharmaceuticals. It also has additional selections including introduction of pharmaceutical quality system PQS, quality risk management QRM, product quality review PQR, qualifications and validations of equipments, and a computerized storage system for all the drug products. So, according to the notification, the manufacturer must assume responsibility for the quality of a pharmaceutical products to ensure that they are fit for use, comply with requirements of the license, and do not place patients at risk due to inadequate safety, quality, or efficacy. Additionally, companies must market a finished product only after getting satisfactory results from tests of the ingredients and return enough of the samples of intermediate and final products to allow repeated testing or verification of a batch. Explaining the rationale, a health ministry official said the pharmaceutical manufacturing and quality domain has evolved significantly in last 15 to 20 years. Our understanding of the domain has increased because of development in pharmaceuticals and manufacturing sciences. The linkage between manufacturing and product quality and the interdependence has been established. Also, observation from an ongoing risk-based inspections further emphasize the need for a relook at the current food manufacturing practices. regulations and quality management system being followed by pharmaceutical manufacturers based on the above factors, and to keep pace with the fast changing manufacturing and quality domain, there was a need to revisit and revise the principle and concept of GMP mentioned in current schedule M. This would bring our GMP recommendation on a par with global standards, especially those of the WHO, and ensure production of high quality globally acceptable drugs, he added. The next show of fairnesses. The Defense Ministry has finalized a rotational plan which will ensure that all states and union territories get a chance to display their WX at the Republic Day parade within a 3 year cycle. This is a welcome step that will potentially avoid controversy over the selection of WX that has become an unfortunate and frequent complaint of the parade this year. WX of 16 states and union territories were selected for January 26 parade following an established process, but the opposition ruled Delhi, Punjab, Karnataka, and West Bengal that were not qualified cried foul. Karnataka's Congress Chief Minister Siddharamaiah has said that seven proposals sent by the state were rejected by the center. A political motive behind selection and exclusion has often been suggested under the current BJP regime, and the previous UPA regime. Only around 15 or 16 WX from states and UTs are selected each year, and obviously all cannot be accommodated. Those states have not been selected for the parade this year were invited to showcase their WX at Bharat Parv from January 23 to 31 at the Red Fort. The new plan that has been agreed to by 28 states is aimed at giving everyone an equitable chance and at participation. The Defense Ministry already has an elaborated screening mechanism for participation in the parade. A committee of distinguished persons drawn from various fields, including Padma awardees, was set up in this year to that screened proposal from states and organizations. The Ministry of Cultural had empaneled 30 agencies for design and fabrication of WX through an open selection from open selection process, and state and UTs were advised to engage these agencies following appropriate procedure. The allegations by the states of discrimination with respect to their proposals may or may not be unfounded, but the selection process has to be apolitical and conducted in a transparent manner while maintaining standards to avoid questions in the first place. While the marching contingent and military platforms at the parade showcase the nation's military might, the WH and the performances hold a lens to the country's cultural splendor and diversity. In the backdrop of controversies year after year, the new proposal of a rotational opportunity for each states and UT offers a fairer, more transparent mechanism. The ascertain by official that the government minister and or secretary do not have any role in the selection process is reassuring. It will go on a long way in keeping the festivities free from bickering. The next article are antibodies overprescribed in India. The National Center for the Disease Control (NCDC) recently found that over half of the nearly 10,000 hospital patients surveyed for a study were given antibiotics to prevent rather than treat infections. The survey mapped patients treated on 1 to 5 days each at 20 territory care institutes across the 15 states and 2 union territories between November 21 and April 22. It found that 55% of the patients surveyed were prescribed antibodies, and as prophylaxis or as a preventive. Only 45% were prescribed antibiotics to actually treat infections, and of them, only 6% were prescribed the drugs after identifying the specific bacteria. This is worrying as India carries one of the largest burdens of drug resistant pathogens and worldwide. Our antibiotics were being overprescribed in India. Summit Ray and Abdul Ghaffar discussed the question in a conversation moderated by Bindu Sahajan Perapadan, edited experts. What is antimicrobial resistance and how did India reach this stage? Sumitre, AMR is defined as a resistant of a microorganism to an antimicrobial agent to which they were first sensitive. The present serious concerns about AMR is that multiple types of bacteria, particularly in India context, E. coli, Klebsiella, and Acinetobacter and Staphylococcus aureus enterococcus have even become resistant to some of the latest generation antibiotics. Patients who get infection with these resistant strains of a bacteria have a higher possibility of a poorer health outcomes due to the resistance. We reached this stage due to a combination of factors. First, the inappropriate use of antibiotics in non-bacterial infections, both because of the prescribing practices and use of the over-the-counter antibiotics. Second, inadequate laboratory facility to income clinicians rapidly about what would be an appropriate antibiotic even in bacterial infection based on cultures, so most clinicals are shooting in dark. The third, the lack of adequate training in antibiotic selections, escalations, and de-escalations. Fourth, inadequate monitoring of AMR and control of antibiotics prescription and dispensing practices by health systems in spite of repeated warnings and fifth, the incentivizations of prescribing practices by the pharmaceutical industry. Abdul Ghaffar, inappropriate use of antibiotics and other molecules used to treat or prevent infections in humans and animals and agricultural sector generates bugs that are resistant to these drugs. Inadequate sanitations in the community and imposure infection prevention in healthcare institutions helps spread these superbugs. AMR is a complex socio-economic and political challenges and not just a scientific issue to be solved by doctors and researchers alone. In the light of the selection, recent NCDC report should there be standardization of ensuring uniformity in prescribing antibiotics. There are already NCDC guidelines and multiplier other guidelines to initiate antibiotics in different types and sites of infection. Doctors prescribing antibiotics need to be trained in appropriate use, but the problem is in diagnosing whether the patient has a bacterial infection or not. The criteria for differentiating bacterial from non-bacterial infection or a non-infective cause is still strongly based on the clinical judgment. Laboratory and radiological investigations will only aid us in this, so the initial diagnosis of bacterial infection will remain clinical till more accurate and rapidly available methods are developed. The NCDC survey results are relevant but not at all unexpected. It is a known fact that more than half of the antibiotics prescription in most countries are unnecessary. But why do doctors make these unnecessary prescriptions? Are they doing this purposely to harm the patients? Are they doing this to increase the AMR rate? Of course not. Both NCDC and the Indian Council for Medical Research have guidelines for the use of antibiotics. There is no scarcity of guidelines, but implementation is a different story. We should look into the root cause of these over prescriptions. First, look at any government of or private hospital outpatients unit, and you will see that they are overcrowded. Taking the patient's health and history, examining the patient, getting speedy investigation done, these do not happen as much as they should. What is lacking is access to rapid diagnostics and a large good network of laboratories. A course of antibiotics is cheaper than any blood culture and investigations. So for a doctor who does not have the time to examine patients, the time to examine their health history, and for patients who cannot afford investigations in a country where most part do not have enough laboratories, antibiotics are the cheaper and less time consuming options. Useless unless we correct these factors, nothing is going to change. Next article है strained ties in India Maldives relations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's tourism push for Lakshadweep triggered a social media spat, escalating into a diplomatic clash between India and Maldives, worsening already strained relationships between the Indian Ocean neighbors. Disparaging remarks led to the suspension of three Maldivian ministers. India expressed concern impacting travel bookings and boycott Maldives trended on social media. India-Maldives relations have hit a rough patch since Mohammad Muizzu was elected president last year on the back of an India Out campaign. What led to the India Out campaign during Solih's administration? The Maldives is a key maritime neighbor of India in the Indian Ocean region. The country's location holds significant strategic importance to India, especially amid China's growing engagement in the region. Although Maldives-India ties have been mostly cordial over the years, so there was a noticeable tilt towards China during the presidency of a Progressive Party of Maldives leader Abdullah Yamin. From 2013 to 2018, it was under the Mr. Yamin that China included the Maldives as a part of its Belt and Road initiatives. Bilateral ties improved when Ibrahim Mohammed Solehi of Maldivian Democratic Party took over the reins from Mr. Yemen in 2018 amid the to reset ties with one of its closest bilateral partners. Mr. Solihu adopted an India-first foreign policy to establish a closer relationship with India in the areas of defense, security, and economics. The Maldives security and economics. The Maldives makes no apology for close ties with India, he told the Hindu in a 2021 interview. However, the growing proximity between New Delhi and Malay and high-level military exchanges sparked concerns in certain quarters, leading to an India Out campaign spearheaded by the opposition. The cities of the Solihi administration alleged that the government was compromising the sovereignty of the island nations and allowing India boots on the ground. The opposition sharpened its attack after the government signed the Uttara Faluhu deal with India in 2021 and to jointly develop the National Defence Force Coast Guard Harbour. The anti-India campaign emerged as the main poll prank in the 2023 presidential race under the leadership of former pro-China Maldivian President Yemen. With a few months to go, PPM Mohammad Muizzu emerged as the joint opposition candidate following a series of dramatic event which prevented former President Yemen from contesting the presidential election. A protege of the PPM chief, Mr. Moizu, was then serving as the mayor of Malé. Mr. Yemen returned to prison and Mr. Moizu entered the poll fray. Mr. Moizu built on the India Out campaign to persuade voters. He promised to remove India troops from the Maldives shores and balance trade relations, which he claimed were heavily titled in India's favor. He refused he refused to be labeled pro-China and maintained that he was pro-Maldives, saying his government wouldn't allow Indians, Chinese, or any other country military presence in the archipelago. He, however, signaled his intention to build strong ties with Beijing, highlighting the benefits of Chinese assistance to the Maldives. In September 23, Mr. Moizu won the contest with 54% of the votes, and in November took oath as the eighth president of the island nations. The first sign of a shift in foreign policy emerged when the new Maldivian president skipped India and instead travelled to Turkey in November on his first official visit. The Ankara trip marked a departure from a long tradition of Maldivian heads visiting New Delhi. First, Mr. Moizu has since traveled to the UAE and is currently on a 5-day visit to China at the invitations of Chinese President Xi Jinping. The Maldivian president has termed China as its valued ally and integral collaborations. Why did President Moizu insists on withdrawal of Indian soldiers in his first address to the nation. After taking oath, Mr. Moizu insisted on the withdrawal of Indian soldiers from the Maldives as he pledged as to safeguard the sovereignty and independence of the Maldives. The president remarked that the country will not have any foreign military personnel grabbed headlines in India, viewed as an attempt to officially turn the compass from his predecessors. India's first policy to an India out policy, a disappointed New Delhi urged the Maldives to look at the presence of its military personnel in the proper perspectives. The new president made another formal announcement of this matter following his meeting with PM Modi on the sidelines of the United Nations COP28 climate summit in the UAE in December, claiming that Mr. Modi has agreed to his demand, while statements issued by the two governments did not mention any such agreements. Sources in Indian government countered the claim, saying the discussion on the issue were still ongoing. Male hesitancy to maintain defense ties with New Delhi was again evident from the absence of Maldivian government representatives in the latest round of the Colombo Security Conclave held in Mauritius last month. Why did the decision to revoke the Survey Pact with India cause a stir in political circles? The Moizu government caused a stir in political and strategic circles with its decision to revoke a key 2019 agreement with India for conducting surveys in Maldivian waters. The memorandum of understanding for hydrographic surveying signed during PM Modi's state visit to the island when President Ibrahim Solihi was in power, backed the commitment of the two countries to maintain close operation in defense and maritime security. Critics of Solihi government, however, had claimed that it harmed national security. In December, Mr. Moizu announced that the pact would not be renewed. Abhijit Singh, head of the Maritime Policy Initiatives at the Observer Research Foundation, says that the Moizu administration refusal to renew the pact seems less to do with the president's sensitivities about sovereignty than with his special relationship with Beijing. Greeting Indian hydrographic ships out of the Maldivian water appears intended to aid China's marine survey of surrounding seas. Mr. Singh notes in his analysis. The next article is tableau election turning into a political battleground. The ongoing dispute between the central government and non-BJP states regarding Republic Day parade tableau has taken a political tone, with the opposition accusing Mr. Modi government of bias. The center denies the allegations, citing a misalignment with this year's theme and emphasizing that similar controversies occurred under the previous regime. However, WX selected Republic Day celebrates India's adaptation of the constitution and a transition to a democratic republic. The parade led by the president in New Delhi showcases military strength and cultural heritage, featuring WX from states and union territories, ministries and departments. The Ministry of Defense oversee parade coordination and preparation. So this process includes the selection and the shortlisting of WX, who makes the selection. The ministry follows a standardized procedure for Republic Day parade. WX's W selection, inviting submission months in advance based on the specified theme. Proposal undergo expert evaluation, including a basic assessment and a presentation of three-dimensional models. Factors like visual appeals, theme alignment, and local resources used contribute to final selection. A state can pitch multiple proposals to the committee, but only one is chosen for the final parade. The Defense Ministry emphasizes time constraints for the limited number of WX. However, the exclusion of a proposal from opposition-ruled states has led to accusations of discrimination by several state governments for what are the policy over the rejection of WX this year. W proposal by Punjab, Delhi, and West Bengal, and all non-BJP ruled states failed to make the final cut. While the Aam Aadmi Party is in power in Punjab and Delhi, and Trinamool Congress in ruling party in West Bengal, as per design uploaded on the MyGov platform, Delhi submitted four cases proposing to showcase its Mohalla clinic and education services. West Bengal proposed two designs exhibiting its cultural heritage and a Kanyasri scheme that seeks to improve the status of girls. Punjab meanwhile submitted seven designs for three ideas: the history of sacrifice of Mai Bhago, the state's heritage, and the history of the freedom struggle and sacrifice made by freedom fighters. Controversy erupted last week when the Punjab CM Bhagwant Mann remarked that the BJP government has demeaned the sacrifices made by the Punjabis in the freedom struggle by rejecting the state's tableau. A war of words followed between the Aam Aadmi Party and BJP after state BJP chief Sunil Jakhar claimed that CM intended to use the tableau for personal promotion. The centre dismissed the charges and clarified the Punjab's proposal did not align with the border theme. In a statement, the MOD said Punjab was shortlisted six times in the last 8 years from 2017 to 2022. The ministry added a similar clarification on the exclusion of West Bengal, saying the state's tableau was shortlisted five times in the last 8 years. In 2022, a similar situation played out in the run-up to the parade when proposals from Tamil Nadu, Kerala, West Bengal were excluded from the final list. The Communist Party of India had termed the centre's decision an attack on federalism. The governments of Tamil Nadu and West Bengal later showcased their WX during the celebration across the state. Last year, Karnataka's WX tableau was approved by the centre following backlashes after the then BJP government announced that the state had not made it to the final list. A first in 13 years under UPA proposal by the BJP-led Gujarat government were similarly rejected for several years until the Saffron Party came to power at the centre in 2014.